Huh? What? Oh, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my video. I'm terribly sorry about this, but I did just recently get my graphics card replacement, and what better way to celebrate it than dumping a couple of hours on neurotically trying to read every single thing there is to read and see every single thing there is to see on an RPG that I haven't played yet. Okay, doing the same thing again in New Vegas is tempting, but the Outer Worlds seems to be intent in highlighting every single failure that Bethesda has ever done in their firm conviction that the creation engine is the last game engine they will ever need. What's that? Oh, the title review. Okay, sure, let me just get a couple of hours in here and...
And what about you? The unplanned variable in the history of S.A.M.
When is the sequel for this thing coming out again? Let's start this story way before video games. Way before video, in fact. 1835, Westphalia. Sober-minded Protestant man Karl Bertelsmann creates a regular, ordinary publishing house with an emphasis on theological literature. Savor this delicious tidbit of information because this company, over the next 150 years, grew into what we now know as Bertelsmann, one of the largest media conglomerate empires in the world. They own Penguin Random House, ensuring that now that I am speaking of them I will never get a book published. They also own Arvato, the company responsible for providing Facebook with human moderation services which cause the expected effect on the people actually doing the moderation. And they also own BMG, a company that I knew as a logo on the back of a lot of my CDs, and that you know was the meat between the sandwich of "this video is no longer available due to a copyright claim by" and "sorry about that." This one is the segment that we're interested in. In 1994, BMG Entertainment, no doubt with Deutschmark signs on their eyes, decided to create an offshoot which would focus on the distribution of video games. Creatively named BMG Interactive Entertainment, they were responsible for the production and distribution of games such as Gex and, I swear to you this is true, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs: The Second Cataclysm. Apparently BMG didn't really enjoy the video game business because pretty soon they became the distribution arm of DMA Design. DMA Design was a proper video game company in the old school tradition, founded by dweebs who met in a computer club in Scotland in 1984. 1 year after the American video games market decided to self-immolate in catastrophic fashion. These people's craft was done by relentless hacking away at Commodores and Amigas. In 1991, now incorporated with the meaningless acronym DMA, the group released the title they would be most famous for, Lemmings. The fun and deceptively complex game earned praise upon praise from critics and customers alike. DMA proceeded to turn this success into a barrage of sequels. They also eventually began working on a new property, a racing game called Race and Chase, a fun, addictive and fast multiplayer car racing and crashing game which uses a novel graphics method. And when that didn't quite work out, we got this as a result. The first two GTAs were... I have no idea, I've never played them. However, they too met with commercial success, enough for DMA to take an interest in the franchise and want to make it better and better. Over on the business side of things, we're in the midst of one of the oldest of traditions in the video game industry, relentless acquisitions. In 1997, DMA gets acquired by Gremlin Interactive, who in turn is acquired by Infogrames in 1999. Meanwhile, BMG Interactive was acquired separately by Take-Two Interactive in 1998, with the sole purpose of creating a newly owned subsidiary called Rockstar Games. A second acquisition in late 1999 meant that DMA was now also completely owned by Take-Two Interactive. On the press release, they assured us that they would continue to work on the Grand Theft Auto franchise and the upcoming GTA 3D. That's weird nowadays, right? The days when something being 3D was important enough to be on the title are about as dead as 3D TVs. And yet 20 years is an eternity in the gaming world when you remember how games looked like in 1981. Now, the first time I saw GTA 3 was sometime back in 2003 or 4. I didn't know any of these things, I was just a car crazy kid barely into double digits of age, who occasionally borrowed racing games from his much older neighbors. Imagine my surprise when I see this game in front of me that had many cars on it. But even better than that, You weren't driving on the confines of a track, there was a gigantic city all around with people on it, and all of the cars were just as detailed as the one you were driving. And that was because if you wanted to drive one, you could. No need to exit and switch cars, you just went and took it. I give them credit for not showing any of the outright violence to me. I guess they considered it more sporting to let me figure that one out on my own. Grand Theft Auto 3 is a 20-year-old game. If you were alive and aware of it when it released, let that sink in for a minute. Most of this channel's audience is younger than that. Desktop computers look like this, RAM was still measured in megabytes. With this in mind, is it even a surprise that you have to do a little bit of hacky work to get it functioning? At least my copy. I thought it would be easy, being a PC gamer for almost as long as this game has existed, and it was released on a 32-bit version of Windows, so I thought it would just be a matter of installing it like any old software. Besides, my particular copy, still stored across 2 disks that promptly gave up the ghost the second I needed them, is even version 1.1. Or it was when I made up the copy of the patch that I got from... Jeez, I think it was GameSpy. GameSpy!
Jesus Christ, I'm so fucking old.
Anyway, yeah, it's old, but it's not that old, so what are the chances that it'll work just fine? What the fuck? Where are the menu items? Okay. Apparently this thing has some things that are tied to the frame rate, and it doesn't take kindly to supercomputers from the future trying to display them and getting a million frames per second. Still, if something falters, there's no shortage of GTA forums with the solution. So it needs this patch and... Wait, what? Nope. Uninstall, use Rivet Tuner to set the frame limit to 60 and... Oh, what the shit now. I think I now remember why is it that I decided to study computer science in the first place. Let's try and go on modded, see what happens. Naturally, in the middle of producing this thing, Rockstar comes out of the blue and announces that instead of GTA 6, they've been remastering the original 3D trilogy. Because why not? It's not like triple dipping hasn't helped them before. And oh yeah, I'm playing with Scheme B, because I refuse to believe that 9 years with Catalina wouldn't make a man do some serious reconsideration of even the tiniest things of their life. I know I keep harping on about it, but it really can't be overestimated that all you are about to see was absolutely revolutionary when it came out, and most of my critics come from the fact that we are traveling to the future at 1 second per second and, as such, everything that has come since has built and expanded upon the foundation created by this. Granted, some of the complaints right now are as true as they were back in 01, but the sheer goodness of everything else overwhelmed them. Fans of the later GTA games will find lots of little things that they may not perceive, but that will make the game feel crude in comparison. You can't hold the brake and throttle together to spin the rear wheels on a car. If you unlock the hood, it will not blow away at speed. There's no exit in the car while it's still in motion. The ammunition has pickups, which means you will accidentally pick something else next to the thing you want. Your sprint is about 2 seconds if you don't just tap the sprint button to make it infinite, and, most annoyingly for me, there's no in-game map. Okay, there is a mini-map, but the mini-map is rather academic when you have missions across the map and you don't know the relative position of it until you drive close, and once you get to shoreside you will be forced to backtrack half an island if your objective is uphill, but I digress. They really expected you to have the paper map next to you, I guess. But that's to be expected. This is 2001, when SUVs getting 3 miles to the gallon was a joke rather than a statement. When we had beepers, people still used payphones and got their news through newspapers. And the big news is that this man was shot by his crazy ex-girlfriend and left for dead. As he's being driven to prison in Portland Island, his transport is ambushed not to rescue him, but instead just to rescue an old oriental gentleman on the same car. They take him away, but not without leaving a nice little present to remember them by. Your first couple of missions will have you be a Gopher for other people, mostly because you will need to learn the basics of the game, and what better way to do it on a game with an open world than exploring said open world. It sure beats having a standard tutorial. Most of these are very easy and they introduce you to one of the best things on sandbox games. Mission 2 tells you to find a guy and beat him with a baseball bat. You could do that, or... It's a sandbox game. There are supposed to be no limits, but you will be doing loads and loads of driving to and from places for a while, just learning the basic layout of the city and taking it in. I wasn't ready for it. I remember seeing it on a circa 2003 TM panel running at 1024 by 768. Now, after I finally gave up and installed both the widescreen patch, after getting nausea from the FOB and the everyone recommended silent patch, it looks so good for an 01 game, especially when you remember that this was supposed to be a first attempt. Such things cannot be said about the combat though. I'm sure it matches someone's playstyle, but for me, it just meant that I got beat up a lot and couldn't understand why the fuck it was so easy for me to get stun locked. This will become a problem in time, but not yet. For now, you will just be spinning your wheels for a while. Take this, drive it here, take that, drive it there. When you're done with Luigi, go to Joey, ignore him, go across the street to listen to Marty Chunks, where he will ask you to go here and pick someone up and take the car there and do the same thing again a couple of times. I know I'm not doing side missions on this one, but that's because GTA 3 doesn't really reward any sort of prep work. Weapons are readily available and there's nothing else to spend money on if you just want to be stuck with them. Infinite sprint is not worth it, and the only way to get health beyond 100 is to become well rested. There is no becoming fireproof or many special vehicles to speak of. It's basic, and so it rewards a basic playthrough. Joey's missions do start to become a little more interesting. You have to do another hit, but this time it requires you to get out of the car, steal a van, get into trouble with the Chinese triads, and go pick up a car with a package on the trunk. Ah, GTA 3. I admire that you sometimes play fair. Ah, shit. Let's try a more forceful negotiation. There we go. And so you can have a nice relaxing drive across the island. They also make you be a driver for a robbery. The most simple, painless job of it. That was good. Give them 7 years to figure out and it may be cooler, after an enormous, infuriating fuck-up.
Take a goddamn seat.
Tony's missions play like he's just done a million insane things in this city like they're nothing. First, he sets you off with some grenades to destroy trucks. And this is why I spent most of my gaming life effectively avoiding anything that even resembled a grenade. After that, he sends you to retrieve a package. I know a setup when I see one. Run outside and let them introduce themselves to you one at a time. After a normal drive through Brooklyn, we arrive at Salvatore Leone's house, where, if you're me, you'll break your careful order and go and do the first mission with Maria, which is drive somewhere and there somewhere else and then back again. So let's just get back with Tony, who has decided to tear the town apart with the triads. One of them will be on a pedestrian walkway, run straight through, and then you can deal with two of them by using your car as a juicer. This usually works in later games. Okay, you know this place could use some redecorating. After that, you get an easy one. Salvatore tells you to tell someone who is living in a cab. Grab your own cab and keep from dealing with a bullshit stealth mission. He's a difficult guy to kill and he has a shotgun, which means he can kill you in about 2 shots. That is, if you believe in fair play. To cap the Portland missions, you get one of the most iconic missions in the franchise. Bomb the Base has a small gatekeeping cutscene telling you to accumulate 100 grand, which you will have absolutely done by now even if you do nothing else. You go to a cargo ship and kill everyone in it that moves. This is where I stopped playing the game as a kid. I didn't have the internet in my house and didn't know about key bindings, so I just tried to walk into the boat and shoot everything. Close to 2 decades later,
Portland Harbor. Suspects on foot. All cars in the Portland Harbor investigate reported gunfire and explosions.
You know, the early 2000s giant game area explosion is an underappreciated art. Still, you have made Salvatore a happy man, and it would take a stupid idiot to screw it up. That's just... Apparently you can't predict the future in this one, so go stand next to the car bomb for a second and then come back.
It's all my fault because I told him we were an item. Don't ask me why, I don't know.
You know, one of these days that mouth of yours is going to get you killed. Here's when some other problems come around with the game. See, the enemy AI was built in the traditional pre-3D GTA way. Every time you go into a gang territory, every single gang member on the street will recognize you immediately. It doesn't matter if you're in a car or just passing through at high speed. The Force tells them you're there and will shoot at you on sight. As the game progresses and you piss off more and more gangs, it means you basically cannot drive anywhere in the city without hearing gunfire and screaming at random points. This reaches ahead right now. You meet Asuka, by far the best boss in the game, and she tells you to go ahead and kill, sorry, it's the Mafia, whack Salvatore. If you remember you have a sniper rifle from 5 minutes ago, it's an extremely easy mission provided you pick a decent vantage point. However, the second you do this, Portland is off limits, because unlike every single other hit-scan enemy on the game, who is given a 9mm and the accuracy of a fortune teller, everyone with a suit and shades in Portland is now carrying a shotgun, and therefore doesn't need to be accurate. You'll be driving along, hear a shotgun noise, and your car will be instantly on fire, if you're lucky. By the end of the game, you may as well assume that everyone in town hates you. Everyone except Asuka, who is extremely pleased with your work. I decide to let her bask on it for a little while because now you get to do missions for King Courtney, a voice on the phone which, mercifully, has subtitles for us.
Get to the west ground opposite the stadium in a car and wait for the other hoppers. First driver to a checkpoint gets the bling bling, then it's on to the next stop.
Oh yeah, I love this mission. It's senseless and chaotic and full of wanton property damage, and you get a selection of competitors. Line. Are we waiting for some... There we go. Also a great way to learn the map if this is your first time around the island. His next mission, on the other hand, is a colossal pain in the ass. You have to go back to Portland, which is already a problem. You have to carry around 2 guys, which wouldn't be a problem, except for the fact that they won't help you unless you exit the car. Which wouldn't be a problem, except for the fact that if you exit the car, you fail the mission. Which wouldn't be a problem if these men didn't have the shittiest car in the entire game. No joke, I did the entire mission protecting this especially shitty Nova wagon, drove all the way back through the fucking tunnel, only for this to happen at the end. I swear to you, it would have to be some pretty shit mission to top Uzi Rider on the awful scale. Fortunately, you get a relaxing one for the next. Hijack some cars, fall down the mountain instead of driving down it, and there you go. Okay, that one will be worse. Kingdom Come is one of the most annoying missions in the game. You are told to pick up a car, which is obviously a setup, again, but this time you have to deal with an endless supply of suicide bombers who will block all car exits. So this is how the first playthrough of this mission generally goes for a new player. They are unlimited, they will explode if they are within a mile of you, and you will take enough damage to be taken out in 3 or 4 hits. The best solution is to keep moving. Keep moving and keep them out of range so they don't explode and spawn a new fresh one, and then... What you should actually do is make sure to get them as close to the band so when they explode they take them with... What you need to do is to run to an exit as fast as you can and... Oh shit! Wait, I'm alive! Okay, they seem to run at normal pace, so let me just...
Here you go, I got a present.
No shit, no. Go on, make a line, make a line. Fuck, not right now, I'm in the middle of something here. Really? He was running towards you with a bomb! Isn't this... Oh, pre-September, never mind. Okay, just bear with me for a minute here.
I don't need to send the ID. You look trustworthy.
You know, I think I want to go back to a boss that doesn't outright hate my guts. The subtitles are so shocked by this development that they dissociated from reality.
My police source indicates that the FBI has mounted a surveillance operation at key locations around the city. It is too late to contact anyone and avoid incrimination. Take out these spying cops, but be careful. They're bound to have backup.
I can race a bit through all these missions. You only need a gun for 2 of them. The other ones are a police boat chase and a race through the island to meet Ray. We like Ray. Ray will be good to us a little while from now. Her final mission in the set is just to take that to the now mostly forgotten Driver franchise. As if it wasn't enough of a take that their game looked like this.
Hang back.
Kenji is to his sister much like GTA Advance is to GTA 3. But his missions are okay. You get to infiltrate a police station and use subterfuge to help a Vale Yakuza member escape. Oh, there's a line you probably won't see on the remaster. Steal some more cars. Ah, fuck, there won't be any bans this time, right? Oh, thank God. Then you get to take your first action against the cartel. In the spirit of that typo, my way to clear the issue is suitably yank. After dealing with an accounting issue, you then get shouted and forced to squish people again. Still, could be worse. Ray wants you to get rid of his former partner, who is holed up in an apartment, and the only way to get him out is to use grenades.
All our cars, complicated by ignorance from Newport. Response to 1080, take north to Newport. River 1011, take north to Newport.
Arm shortage is much easier, mostly because you are introduced to the grenade's better half, the rocket launcher. Evidence dash. Bring armor, get used to swapping cop cars. The next two missions are related. With his former partner dealt with, now you have to deal with his current one. Don't use the provided boat, get to the police boat and wait for him to make it to the coast.
You useless bastard! You totally messed up! My ass is on the line, and you can't even kill a goddamn fly!
Apparently 2 rounds to the back didn't do that trick, so you have to wreck his ambulance. Do not, I repeat, do not take out the ambulance in the middle of cartel territory like I did. Or do. See if they do any damage to the cast when they run him over. Leaving Ray for a while to take in the smells of a Central Park toilet, we move on and do missions for by far the craziest, most psychotic maniac of this universe, and remember, this is the one with a literal sociopath, an all-powerful government agent and a colossal asshole, Donald Love. Now, don't get me wrong, he gives me the opportunity to kill Kenji, which is fair enough, but most of his missions have this tinge of annoyance for me. Starting with Liberator, where you have to pick off security in a compound and then get that old oriental gentleman out. Pick the correct door and he'll be there. Pick the wrong one and get a hit scanner on your face. It's this one. It's this fucking one. Killing Kenji is fine. Just remember to not get out of the car and to exit via ramp.
All our units, that's our reported to multi-story car park Newport. Northwest Newport.
A drop in the ocean is fine so long as you remember that the pay and spray is 30 seconds away. Then you get Grand Theft Auto, which is the biggest mission in the game so far. Grand Theft Auto is the biggest mission in the game so far. Keep well away from the cartel guns and make your way to the elevator, where you squander a chance to kill Carolina.
But you've done me a favor. You're not the only one that has a score to settle with the cartel. This worm killed my brother.
He did? That bastard and I like Kenji so much. I'll check with you later, okay? Anything you need, consider it a favor. You know when you were a kid and you got one of those bags filled with random candy and you're eating them absent-mindedly because, well, they're all good. But when you reach the bottom, there it is. One of those fucking nasty cinnamon candies. The ones that old people apparently found a way to buy exclusively back when old people used to keep bowls of candy. The ones that made you discover exactly what people would look like doing the cinnamon challenge. Well, that is what Shoreside Vale is like in this game. Barren, sparse, quite good looking on modern hardware, but with a confusing layout and a shitty safe house that lets you store 3 cars, provided you're okay with damaging them when you want to get one out. It doesn't have an ammunition, the pay and spray is in a weird location and quite small. It's as though they needed another location and they were running against a deadline or technical limitations. Or they just wanted to make some inscrutable commentary about living in suburban New Jersey. I don't know. The developers probably agreed with me, taking into account that the island doesn't have any missions on its own apart from the finale, for which the presentation still takes place in Staunton anyway. But we'll get to that. At present you're just playing security service, where you realize that the old oriental gentleman is suicidal and drives like crazy because... You know, if there had been a Twitter in 2001, this game would have never been made. Decoy, you get to play around with a 6-star wanted level. Yes, okay, stay there, stay right there, and... Chaîne the tank is useless apart from vigilante missions at this point in the game, especially since now we can go back to Ray, who basically just needs me to drive him to the airport and rewards me handsomely for it. Wait, Miami, but Vice City is Miami, but Vice, but Miami, but... The Patriot is worth it. We're in the home stretch here, and I can see why they would like to give you a break. For an additional break, do the ISS phone missions, which are rather relaxing apart from the first one, where you perhaps should consider using the Bulletproof Patriot, the bit of the third one where you drive through St. Mark's, and the last one, where you are forced to kill everyone with baseball bats. Although even that one is fun if you use the correct strategy. The endgame doesn't disappoint. Well, Bait does. I wanted to use the tank, save the Yakuza some work, but that's apparently not acceptable, so I had to just drive around and let them deal with it. However, Espresso to Go makes you hunt stands all throughout Liberty City. Take out that Bulletproof Patriot and just smash them out of your way. Then you have S.A.M.
Greetings, customer!
Don't bother with the boat nonsense. Take the Patriot, run over all obstacles, mind the weird physics and stare at the runway until the draw distance tells you to. Not the hardest mission that way. And with this we basically interrupted the flow of Spank into Liberty City. Asuka will be pleased as... Oh... I guess it was actually a bit too easy to storm if just one guy could do it once. If the requirements for Bomb the Base were easy, these ones are even easier. Go on, spend lavishly. There's no way you will be wanting for $500,000 by the endgame. Ordinarily I would do some prep work here, but honestly, it's all for naught. Ransom is the cusp of the game and it's built on the old tradition, where you're supposed to use all of the skills that you learn while playing the game. Don't bother arming yourself to the teeth, leave the Bulletproof Patriot in the garage. You are forced to enter this mission completely weaponless. Their mercy comes in the form from the pistol of the guy you just downed. Don't bother looking for your equipment around the house, it's gone baby gone. I suppose if you collected all 100 packages, you should just be able to drive to your safe house and pick up everything you need from there. But who would bother to do that? The game is only 51 missions long. It would honestly take more time to get them than to play the game. Shoot the cartel hit scanners there and get their AKs. And then you can use the range of that to deal with most of the cartel until you get someone with an M60. Walk in, destroy the truck coming towards you and die instantly because Catalina's helicopter drops explosives on you. Repeat this until you figure out the exact spot where you can hit everyone past that trigger before enabling it. That should help you avoid the explosions and get to the guards who have Maria. After that, just grab the rocket launcher and wait for the helicopter to come close. A single shot is all you need.
Residents in Cedar Grove have been coming to terms with the emotional aftermath of a full-blown war that hit the area yesterday.
I broke a nail and my hair is ruined. I mean, can you believe it? This one cost me $50.
6 years before The Sopranos, everyone. And she's just as dead as he was on that one. I honestly wasn't sure what I was going to find on this one, folks. It was the game that got me interested in something other than racing games. Though going from them to this is a bit like going from water straight to paint stripper. I've played all of the other 3D GTA games since then and yeah, compared to those, of course this one is going to feel primitive and barren. With weird models, strange movement and a story in which your character could be replaced by a small robot with a machine gun. But complaining about GTA 3 being primitive is a bit like complaining that an Acorn is nowhere near as impressive as the oak tree it spawns. It was unprecedented when it was released and it earned the love of pretty much everyone, spawning a plethora of clones in its wake. This is, inasmuch as the winner-ridden history is concerned, the genesis of the modern sandbox genre and the cornerstone in the popularization of it. As such, if you lend any credence to that sort of thing, you can basically thank it for giving us things like the Yakuza series and the Batman Arkham series, not to mention a plethora of great sequels. And Chinatown Wars.